All right, the votive candles are lit. There is a cup of tea at hand. And it's time for season 2, episode 4 of Gold Coast After Dark with me, your pal, BP. Hey, we're back again. I have not changed clothes because it's the same day as we did episode 3 on. Like I said, trying to move this along for you and and me, I guess. So, just I'm try to get in the swing of keeping it rolling, I might say. So here we are, a, a fragile thing that can only exist where fragile things are loved. And here's our pal, Mr. Three of Spades. So we know it's time to start. Now you will recall at the end of episode 3, I was sitting on the long bench beside the little lake, just being there, not thinking about anything. Now, it may have been an hour or it may have been 15 minutes, but it was a familiar voice that drew me back. Afternoon, Squire. Mind if I join you? By all means. Grab a piece of the bench. Fine day. It is that. How you been? Well, the wind blows, the seasons turn, the river hums its song. Night falls, dawn breaks, and we go ever on. You? I'm fine, thanks. I'm doing okay. Well, that's not what I hear. Really? And what exactly do you hear? The crows carry a rather different tale. The crows. Yes? And what did the crows tell you? Well, they didn't know the details, of course, but they were quite clear about it. One might even say adamant. And you believed them. I had no reason not to. Crows are, by and large, very reliable sources of information, not prone to extrapolation or exaggeration. Okay, do you make a habit of believing whatever your bird friends tell you? Well, not ducks, of course. But sparrows and thrushes, once they calm down, are quite good. They're so excitable they tend to run everything together. You have to slow them down. But crows are in a class by themselves. Why not ducks? Well, it stands to reason, doesn't it? Can't get a word in edgewise once they get started, and every other word is quack. No, let's stick with crows, thank you very much. They're your friends too. How do you figure? I guess you haven't noticed. Haven't noticed what? Well, they've been following you for the past year. What? Every time you've left your house, there's been at least one crow overhead tailing you, as they say. Why? Well, I suppose you could say it's a form of compensation. You come and play your flute. In return, you get oak leaves, a splendid reputation throughout the forest, and a crow escort. And the crows report to you. No, of course not. But one was sent to ask me to come see you. Okay, I'll bite. Why? Well, to begin with, you don't speak crow. Hang on. They've come to my house and I've spoken to them and they seem to understand what I say. Yes, but that's not the same as speaking English, or for that matter, any human language, is it? They aren't physically capable of speech, as we know it. But you speak crow. Yes. It's a bit hard on the throat, all that caw and croak, the little clicks and pops for emphasis. And there are the wing movements, of course. But you don't have wings. Of course not. But one does what one can. And what do the wing movements mean? Well, they signify when you're about to say something and when you're finished. Without them, no crow will pay you the slightest bit of attention. You aren't serious. Oh, yes. So I need to learn to speak crow? Well, it couldn't hurt. I'll take it under advisement. Fair enough. Now, what's gone wrong? For the next half hour, I recounted the health woes that had appeared out of nowhere and for which modern medicine had been unable to find a cause. 4 months of high-tech screenings had come up empty. Did I have any ideas as to what the problem might be? Well, I began. Hey, not so fast. You've never even told me your name. I don't think you've ever asked. Well, I'm asking now. Dennis. My name is Dennis. Just Dennis? Isn't that enough? With one N or two? Two, I suppose, though I would imagine one would work equally well, unless there's a difference between Dennis with one N and Dennis with two. Is there? They would seem to sound the same. I could be wrong, of course. Well, one N may be French. Ah, well, then two N's it is. All right, thank you. So, to answer your question, Dennis with two N's, I have no idea what's wrong. I only know something is wrong, despite all assurances to the contrary. And it's getting worse, yes? Yes. We sat in silence for several minutes. The lake remained calm and reflective of the sky, while the birds paid us no attention whatsoever. Dennis, where have you been for the past year? Where did you go when you left? It's difficult to say, really, he began. Reaching down, Dennis plucked a blade of grass and stuck it between his teeth before continuing. I suppose it's like asking the wind where it blows to. I'm one place, then another. I don't mean to be obscure. Well, I said, trying a different tack, have you always been in the forest? I mean, are you part of the forest as Tom Bombadil was? I'm afraid I don't know the gentleman. I should have expected that. That's okay. He's a character in a very famous book. Ah, I see. I guess you could say he's the spirit of the forest. He's a shapeshifter. Well, that's certainly interesting, but no, I'm nothing like that. I just play the saxophone. Come on, Dennis, don't go simple on me. Please don't think me rude, but shouldn't you be getting home? He was right. I was feeling increasingly weary and frayed, as you do when you've been up all night after having been up all day the day before. It's an empty feeling for which a lengthy sleep is the only remedy. This interlude beside the lake hadn't helped, as I should have known it wouldn't, and that it wouldn't have even if Dennis hadn't shown up, but one always hopes. I speak from experience, reaching back all the way to high school when I did it because I didn't want to sleep, and through my years in America's workforce, and through which I was paid quite well to do so, as dictated by the needs of the business. This state of affairs had continued in retirement, first by design, because I spent every available hour writing books or composing music in an attempt to make up for time lost while drawing biweekly paychecks. But more recently because I had lost all semblance of a sleep cycle. When I finally reached home, I might make a cup of tea, but would definitely be going to bed within minutes of crossing the threshold. I might take a nice hot shower beforehand to expedite the sleep process as well. Oh, you're right, Dennis. I do need to get home. I'm tired all the time now. Tell you what, let's do. You go home. Let's meet back here in the morning, and we can talk some more. Sounds fine, Dennis, but I can't guarantee I'll be here tomorrow. All right, how's this? The first day you can be here, we'll talk. Can you stick around? Well, I shall have to if we're going to talk. Sounds good. Now wait, okay, do you mean meet here by the lake or at the oak tree? Let's meet here. I have a feeling tomorrow will be sunny and warm. This way back home went down a long avenue of trees. Like I said, there are several in the forest. And it would eventually intersect with the paved walking, jogging, biking path that I would take to get me to Bookie's Hill. I passed through a number of the Highland cattle who paid me no mind. Spread out across the avenue, they weren't moving, so I slowed considerably as I approached, not wanting to startle them. Their spacing allowed more than enough room on the right side between the cow in front and the edge of the avenue for me to pass. "Hello, cows," I said as I rode by. "Rrr," the nearest cow replied, just like that. "Rrr." Once home, I decided against a cup of tea. May Grandma Meg and Ray Davies forgive me. But I did take a hot shower, after which, despite the earliness of the hour, I crawled into bed. The book of choice was Shogun by James Clavell, which I discovered shortly after moving to England way back in 1978. In large part, the story of a man who finds himself struggling to survive in a truly alien culture. I'd found in its pages a balm for an all too frequently troubled soul. Over the years, I had worn out several copies. The next morning, half-dozen crows were on the picnic table in the back garden. "Hey, good morning. Please tell Dennis I'll see him at the lake as soon as I get organized. Shouldn't be too long. Thank you." And off they flew. And looky here. We've just barely hit the 13-minute mark. And yet, here's Mr. Dancing Jack of Hearts to let us know we have reached the end of today's reading. So, what have we learned? We have learned that the twinkly-eyed saxophonist doesn't have to be referred to as the twinkly-eyed saxophonist anymore because his name is Dennis with two N's, not one, because he is not French. That's what we learned today. Okay, here we are. So, we're going to stop it there. And we'll be back tomorrow, which will be the 28th of July. Summer is flying by. We'll be back then with the next edition of Gold Coast After Dark with me, your pal, BP. Bye.